Hi, I'm Angel Nightingale. Welcome to Tales Around the World. This is one of my many stories I've written. The name of this story is The Arabian Princess. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on very interesting videos. Enjoy. Have a beautiful day to each and everyone.
Princess Amila of Arabia, now known as Angelina Valentine, since her escape from Arabia, is now living in Ireland. A lot has happened. Angelina Valentine found the true love and married to Nicholas Cavington. Her mother, the Queen of Arabia, has also run away from Arabia, and Nicholas helped her to come to Ireland and now has reunited with her daughter, now known as Angelina Valentine. Everyone was happy Angelina and her husband Nicholas was expecting their first child. All was well, but there was trouble brewing thousands of miles away. Back in Arabia, Princess Amila's father, the king, was going through a terrible situation. Prince Elijah was very upset with the king for not making his daughter Princess Amila his wife. Prince Elijah was a very ruthless man and don't like to lose. Prince Elijah had a ruthless and terrible plan. Prince Elijah threatened the king that he will take over his kingdom because he didn't hold up his proposal promises. The king told Prince Elijah that there's nothing that can be done, that Princess Amila has moved on and can't be found. Prince Elijah said, "Well, old king, this is no good. You and your daughter has humiliated me and mocked me, and that will not go unpunished." Prince Elijah declared war with the king and said that he will overthrow his kingdom. Prince Elijah was a man of his word. War started between Princess Amila Kingdom and Prince Elijah Kingdom. Many soldiers on both sides were killed in the battle. This went on for many weeks until Prince Elijah won the war and overthrew the kingdom of Princess Amila. The king and some of his men fled the kingdom and went into hiding because they knew that Prince Elijah would kill them all. Princess Amila's father, the king, ran to the forest and eventually found the same cottage that Princess Amila once stayed. Meanwhile, Prince Elijah and his soldiers took over the kingdom and celebrated his victory. Prince Elijah didn't stop there. He sent his soldiers to find and kill Princess Amila's father and kill him. Prince Elijah, then planning to find Princess Amila and bring her back to Arabia. Then he will have her killed. Meanwhile, back in Ireland, Angelina and Nicholas is at the hospital. Angelina giving birth to their first baby. She gives birth to a beautiful and healthy little boy. Angelina and Nicholas were very happy. Then Angelina's mother came to visit them at the hospital and saw her grandson. She was overjoyed. The next day, Angelina and Nicholas and their little baby boy returned to their home. Angelina was a very good mother, and Nicholas was a great father. He was so proud and happy to be a father. Everyone was happy, unknowing what fate has in store. Meanwhile, back in Arabia, Prince Elijah has found out that Princess Amila is in Ireland and is planning to kidnap Princess Amila and bring her back to Arabia. Prince Elijah also knows that Princess Amila changed her name and is now Angelina Valentine Cavington. He is fully aware that Angelina is married and has a child, but Prince Elijah do not care and intends to carry out the wicked plans. 3 months has passed. Back in Ireland, Angelina and Nicholas are enjoying parenthood. Their little son is growing up nicely and well loved and cared for. Angelina's mother would occasionally come over and play with her grandson. She loves him so much. Angelina and Nicholas named their son Daniel Cavington. Everyone was so happy, full of hope for the future. Meanwhile, back in Arabia, Angelina's father, the king, and his men walked for miles upon miles upon miles and have to hide every now and then because Prince Elijah's men were chasing them in the forest. Prince Elijah's soldiers caught up with the king and his men, and they started to fight each other. The men was protecting the king with their lives. One of the king's men took the king and ran away from the battle, and he hid the king in a hole and covered it with tree branches. man then made tracks in the opposite direction from where the king hid to mislead Prince Elijah men the wrong way. It works, Prince Elijah. Men went the wrong way. The king's men decided to go to the opposite direction to lead the prince's men away from the king. One of the king's men stayed with the king. He uncovered the hole and helped the king out, and they continued their journey out of the forest. Finally, they saw the train station in the distance. The man told the king to switch clothes with him. The king was a bit hesitant. The man explained that if they switch clothes, he can lead the prince's men away from the king, and he will be able to catch the train and get on a plane. The king understood all what was said and quickly switched clothes with the man. The king now looks like a normal person and not tame at all. But that's the whole idea anyway. The king thanked the man and wished him good luck, and they departed. The king heading for the train, and the man attracted the prince's men and ran in the opposite direction of the train. The men chase after the man, thinking it's the king. Plan worked out greatly for the king. He got on the train and then got to the airport and took a flight to Ireland. Yes, Ireland. The king knew all along that Princess Amelia was in Ireland, but said nothing. He was protecting his daughter. Although he was a bit stubborn king at times, he really loves his daughter, Princess Amelia. The king arrived at Ireland Airport and went to check out, and was cleared. He had no problems with the checkout point, and took a taxi, and went to a hotel there. He stayed for some days, before he goes to Princess Amelia, now known as Angelina Valentine Cavington. Meanwhile, Angelina had no clue that her father, the king, was in Ireland. She didn't even know that he knew where she was. After 3 days, the king decided to finally go face his daughter, Angelina, and her new family. He took a taxi and went straight to Angelina and Nicholas' house. Nicholas and Angelina was with their son in their bedroom. When they heard the doorbell ring several times, Nicholas and Angelina wondered who can it be. Nicholas went to see who was at the door. He saw an older gentleman standing outside the door. Nicholas opened the door and said, "How can I help you, sir?" The man then asked, "Are you Nicholas Cavington?" Nicholas said, "Yes, I am." "And who are you, sir?" "I'm Angelina's father." Nicholas was shocked. Angelina put little Danielle in his crib to rest and came out just in time to see the stranger at the door was her father. Angelina started to panic and scream, and Nicholas held Angelina tightly and said, "You're safe." The king stepped inside the house and said, "My daughter, Amelia, I mean no harm. I'm so sorry how I treated you. Please hear me out." Angelina said, "How did you find me? And what are you doing here?" Nicholas said to the king, "Please come in," and closed the door behind him and offered the king a seat. The king thanked Nicholas. Then Nicholas tried to calm Angelina down, and they both sat together opposite the king. The king started to explain all that took place between him and Prince Elijah. Then suddenly the doorbell rang, and everyone was startled for a second. Nicholas went to the door, and there was Angelina's mother walking in. Angelina's mother's reaction was the same as Angelina, and she started to cry. Nicholas tried to calm Angelina's mother and seated her down. The king looks at his wife, the queen, and said, "My wife, I'm so sorry. Please would you and Angelina allow me to explain everything, please?" Angelina and her mother nodded silently. The king started from the beginning again and explained all that happened between him and Prince Elijah. He told them that Prince Elijah, after weeks of battle, overthrew the kingdom and has now owned the property. The king also said that he and some of his men also had to run and hide in the forest. He told Angelina that Prince Elijah is looking for her to bring her back to Arabia, then kill her. Angelina and her mother and Nicholas were devastated. He told them everything. Angelina started to panic and started to cry. Bliss held on to Angelina, trying to calm her down. He told Angelina that he will protect her and their son. He would never let anything happen to them. King stood up and said, "I promise you, my queen and my daughter, I will protect you and your new family with my life. Please forgive my wife and queen, and I beg your forgiveness. My daughter, I love you both very much. I was an arrogant king. I see my wrongs, and I ask you both to forgive me. Please." It was so silent you can hear a pin drop. Angelina and her mother shared a look at each other. Then they both said, "We forgive you," and they all share hugs and say how much they all love each other. Nicholas was standing one side, giving them space. Angelina and her mother and her father looks at Nicholas and pulled him into a hug. Nicholas laughs joyfully. Everyone was happy. Since the reunion of Angelina's father and mother, he was gracious enough to let them all stay at his and Angelina's home. They were all happy together, and Angelina, as father has, become humbler and more loving and caring. The father she always wishes he would be. Angelina's father loves his grandson Daniel so much and played with him all the time. Angelina and Nicholas were so happy. Meanwhile, back in Arabia, Prince Elijah, making plans to catch a flight to go to Ireland to find Princess Amila, better known as Angelina. The Prince Elijah now on plane with 6 of his soldiers. Prince Elijah eagerly waiting for the plane to land and smiled wickedly to himself. Back in Ireland, Nicholas and Angelina's father plans on how they will protect their family. They came up with a very great plan. They both agreed. Nicholas and the king called Angelina and her mother, the queen, to talk to them about the plan. Angelina and her mother were nervous and listened intently. Nicholas said that the queen and baby Danielle will stay with his family, and the king and Nicholas and Angelina will stay in a family cabin in the woods. Angelina and her mother look concerned. They ask then what? The king replies and said that he and Nicholas and 7 of Nicholas' male friends will set booby traps around the cabin, and they will be armed and waiting for the Prince Elijah and his soldiers. Angelina and her mother were silent for a while and reluctantly agreed, because they didn't want to be apart from each other, as though Nicholas can read what they were thinking. He assured Angelina and her mother that everything will be all right, and that they will all be safe. Angelina and her mother breathe a sigh of relief. They ask the king and Nicholas when they will be leaving. Nicholas and the king answers the same time and said, "Now, right now, get packing." And her mother rushed to their rooms and started to pack some clothes, and Angelina packed some clothes and food for their baby Danielle. Came out, and Nicholas already had a car to drop off the queen at his mother's house. Nicholas and Angelina and her father went with their family car. Before they left, Nicholas told his neighbors that if anyone asked them, let them know they're at the family cabin. He left the direction with the neighbors. Nicholas and Angelina and her father drive off on their journey to the cabin in the woods. Meanwhile, Prince Elijah plane had landed and is now in Ireland. Prince Elijah and his men had no problem with the checkout point at the airport. Because he was royalty, Elijah and his men were all armed. Prince Elijah and his soldiers took a taxi and went straight to Angelina, and Nicholas' house rang the doorbell. But there was no answer. They rang the doorbell several times, still no answer. They soon realized no one was home. Then Prince Elijah ordered one of his soldiers to ask the neighbors where Angelina and her husband Nicholas are. The neighbors told them where they went. The prince and his soldiers took off immediately. They are all heading for the cabin in the woods, just as planned. Meanwhile, Nicholas and Angelina and her father and Nicholas' 7 men settled into the cabin. Nicholas and the 7 men finished setting traps all around the outside of the cabin and tracks. Then scattered to different areas in the woods and near the cabin. They each had walkie. Nicholas also had a talkie to keep in touch with his men and know when to be ready for the prince and his soldiers. It was the breaking of dawn, and the men were still in woods, waiting patiently. Then suddenly they saw a car speeding in the road tracks and stopped. Then Prince men scattered in the bushes. One of the men stayed with Prince Elijah. Nicholas' men already made Nicholas and Angelina, and the king aware that the prince and his men have arrived. All was prepared for the attack. Angelina had a baseball bat. The king had a sword and Nicholas had a bow and arrows. Angelina hid in the coat closet. The king was at the back door, and Nicholas was at the front door. Then one of Prince Elijah's men got his foot caught in a trap and started to bawl, and then another one started to bawl. He got an arrow to his chest. 2 of Prince Elijah's men was down. 4 left. Prince Elijah was angry and started to yell, "I know you're in there. Amelia, come out, and I promise I won't kill your husband. Come out, or I promise you I'll destroy everything you love. Nicholas, calm Angelina." She was shaking. Then 2 more of Prince Elijah's men got killed, and then another. The last man, standing with Prince Elijah, sneaked around the back door to the cabin, and the king cut off one of his hands with a sword. Nicholas ran to the back door and helped the king tie up the man to chair. Then Nicholas heard Angelina screaming. Nicholas rushed back to where Angelina was, only to see Prince Elijah standing behind Angelina with a sword to her throat. At that moment, Nicholas looked at Angelina. Eyes filled with tears. Nicholas looks at Prince Elijah and said, "Please don't hurt her. Please let her go, please." Prince Elijah smiled wickedly. Angelina said, "I love you, Nicholas. I always will. Take care of our son." Nicholas said, "I love you, Angelina. You will not die." Prince Elijah said, "Yes, she will die," and smiled wickedly. Just as Prince Elijah was about to kill Angelina, he drops the sword with a shocking look on his face and back away from Angelina. When Prince Elijah looked down, he then saw an arrow sticking out of his chest, and then he fell to the ground and died. Angelina screamed and ran to Nicholas. All 7 of Nicholas' men were okay and unharmed. The men call in the incident report and call an ambulance for the prince's wounded men. The prince's men who were still alive and wounded got treated at the hospital and was then arrested and sent back to Arabia, along with the dead Prince Elijah's body. Prince Elijah's father, the king, although was upset of his son's death, let peace be, because he knew Prince Elijah was a stubborn and ruthless and wicked son. Prince Elijah's father always warned his son to change his wicked ways, but Prince Elijah never listened. Back in Ireland, Nicholas and Angelina and their son was united. Her father and mother were all safe. The king had a choice to make, whether to stay in Ireland with his family or return to Arabia alone. Angelina and her mother begged him to stay, and Nicholas told the king he's always welcome at his home. The king smiled. He was silent for a while, and then he said, "Okay, I'll stay." Queen of hugs her king, and then Angelina hugs him too, and then Nicholas joins the group, everyone hugging each other and laughing joyfully. Then they heard baby Danielle crying. Angelina picks him up out of the crib and hugs her son, and Nicholas joined her and kissed his son and Angelina, and Nicholas shared a kiss. Then the doorbell rang, and everyone got quickly silent for a moment. Then Nicholas's mother said, "It's me." "Hello, Angelina, Nicholas." Nicholas opens the door, and his mother and father and family came in. Everyone was relieved, and happiness spread through the house, the sound of love and laughter. Nicholas and Angelina managed to get some alone time, and Nicholas told Angelina that he loves her so much. Angelina said, "I love you, Nicholas, always and forever." They kiss and hug each other. Everyone was happy and celebrating 2 joining of families. A few months passed, and it was Nicholas and Angelina's son, Danielle. First birthday celebration. All the family was present, and it was a joyous reunion. Angelina's mother and father told her they changed their names, and also they're getting married again. Angelina was happy for her parents. The king told Angelina that he made an agreement with one of his soldiers who protected him and his hymn in a hole. Yes, that very same man. The king handed over his kingdom and crown to him, and they made an agreement that he would supply the king with half the royalties. Angelina was happy. They all hugged, everyone laughing, having a good time, and little Danielle celebrated him being 1 year old, eating cake. Angelina and Nicholas looks at Danielle and laugh and kiss him. They all live in love and peace and happily ever after. The end.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on very interesting videos. Have a beautiful day to each and everyone.